Let's see what Pastor Sutton has to say to us today.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Pastor Jay of Walk in Truth Radio Network, and with your encouraging word for today. I want to talk about something real quick. That's why I'm on here live. I want to talk about who are you? Who are you really? You know what I've observed over the past couple of weeks, people are really spending a lot of energy trying to mask who they really are. You know, it's something when you get into your 60s and your 50s, your 40s, even your 30s, and you're still trying to portray yourself in a way that's acceptable to people that really don't care nothing about you. That you're trying to conform yourself into their world or their imagination of who you think you are. And that's called self-deception. I am truly a believer that if you be who you really are, whether you great, whether you toe up from the floor up, be who you are and you will attract the people that can deal with who you are really, that can accept it. Whatever change you make, whatever adjustment you make, it's fine. But being somebody totally different, actually going hard on behavior that you're doing yourself. The Bible is truly clear. If you read Romans, it talked about the Pharisees who would condemn people in their behaviors, but they were doing the same thing. When Jesus dealt with the person, when they brought the woman who was caught in adultery, if you notice in the story, for those who know the story and those who don't, the woman was brought because she committed adultery, but where was the man? And then Jesus said something that was so strong, and it really should make you think about this. He said, "Let the one who hasn't sinned cast the first stone on her." Yes, she needs to die. That's what the law says, but you're using the law unlawfully because you're a lawbreaker too. You can't condemn me when you're doing the same thing. So Jesus was saying, let's be transparent about this. And then it say from the oldest to the youngest, or from the youngest to the oldest, each one of them put down their rock and left. That's a lot of people who are living hypocritical to who they really are, but want to throw light on other people who are doing the same thing. And that's what makes this world so crazy. That's what makes America so crazy. It's because we are conditioned to be hypocritical. You say, well, Pastor, give me an example. Fake it till you make it. How many of you guys heard that saying? Fake it until you make it. Wore that mantra. I'm gonna act like I'm something that I'm not, and then people will pay attention to me, and what I want to become will come to me because I am faking it until I make it. I am calling it into the existence. I am making it out of the atmosphere. I'm rich. I'm pretty. There's a whole pastor who tells you to say all these mantras, and then some of these people that I now hear use the Bible say, you can't do this, you can't do that. You need to say these things, and then you can do it. No, it's just like nobody can put a curse on you. It's almost as if we're living in this world where we like witchcraft, and that witchcraft brings upon a persona of I can be something that I'm not and hide who I really am from the rest of the world. And that's turned out to be detrimental to our children, detrimental to ourselves. Because eventually the Bible is true. Everything that's done in the dark will be brought to the light. And the Bible even says this: if you judge yourself, you won't be judged. Well, let's not look at judgment or condemnation, but if you be true to yourself, there's no need for you to get exposed. There's nothing nobody can throw at you. I am very comfortable with people living in who they really are. And the word we use for it is your truth. Well, that's subjective. Okay. You just being who you are. Are you really being true to yourself? Are you really being who you are? Who God has made you? Whatever philosophy you want to throw on it, Americans are taught to act, to hide, to not really acknowledge who we really are. Even the situation with Will Smith, there was a hiding. And then eventually, like a soda that you shake up and open a can, it bubbles out. It's deeper than the action it had to be something that was in him that was so deep that it caused him to get up, knowing that he's about to win this big award, the highest award possible for actor, and then mess it up at the same time. Whereas the goodness of what he's about to do could not override what he thought shamed him and shamed his wife. And then we say we don't blame him because we would love to do the same thing. And now the precedent is when somebody talks about you or roasts you or goes off on you, then it's okay for you to go up and hit them. What happened to your mother telling you and your father telling you or your grandmother telling you, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? See, the power to define and absorb what people say about you is a skill set. It's a skill set. And it's too many people not exercising the skill set because they've never learned it. They've never learned to let people say what they're going to say. They never learned that. They never learned to let people be who they are, say what they're going to say about you, and not even bother you. As long as they don't put your hands on you, as long as you don't feel threatened by them. Think about what it took to get up out of your seat, go up on stage, walk past security, and go out there and slap Chris Rock. And everybody talking about Will Smith, but what about Chris Rock, who has been embarrassed on national television, who's been taken advantage of on national television, worldwide television? Nobody's talking about the victim. He's the victim of an abuse, of a crime, and nobody gets arrested. See, precedent and templates. Just like the Supreme Court justice that's nominated, Miss Jackson, she says she didn't know what a woman was. She couldn't define what a woman was. See, and these comments are being echoed now because somebody of influence has set the template. Bill Clinton set the template when he said, I didn't have sex with that woman and I didn't consider oral sex as sex. He set the template because if we look further back, people are saying we got these different caveats of what we really call sex. See, the influential people are throwing out different definitions of things now, and the low people on the totem pole, the masses, the sheeple, are grabbing hold to it and they're going to use it in a way. So now, when somebody goes up and assaults somebody because they were talking about them, they can go back and say, Will Smith did it and did nothing happen to him. So what? He stepped down. What the assault has taken place. When it's done to us, on us, there's nothing, no ramifications. That was black on black crime. And just like in the cities, there's nothing that's going to be done. But let that be in Jerry Seinfeld. Let that be in Jerry Seinfeld. He be under the jail. And comedians roast people. I mean, when you go to a comic show, you sit in that front row, you talk too much, you look kind of funny. People go up to get roasted, and they might heckle back and forth, but nobody goes on stage and try to fight anybody. We become so violent. Now think about this. We've become so violent where even our actors and our entertainers promote violence against each other. Rap turned in something that was danced to and celebrated and talked about the positive things of the people coming out of the ghetto to total violence and let's shoot each other over a persona of who we think that we want to portray. A lot of these guys who were considered gangster rappers, they weren't gangsters. They were entertainers that learned, that figured out that this genre was going to take off and make them money. And now we consider them the people we should take advice from. When do we get to the point in society where we really pay attention to our people who are court jesters, who give us a glimpse of the reality through their truth telling of their comedy, but now we look at them as people we should take advice from, to the point that we give them shows, we let them have talk shows, we let them have books that give advice and consent, and their job has always been to entertain us. Where's the common sense that comes from Big Mama, Grandma, Grandfather? Have we lost the ability to get the wisdom from our elders at their feet, sitting, listening to their story, and telling us violence is never the way unless it's absolutely necessary? Have we gotten so woke that we actually are asleep? We pick and choose what we want to fight and how we want to cloak ourselves and cover ourselves. You know, everybody does what is right in their own eyes. That's what the Bible said. That was the time of the judges. Everything that we go through now, you can see it in scripture and it can give you an understanding of what's going on. The failure of mankind is imminent, it's evident. We can't legislate the thing that we've been trying to do. You can't legislate behavior. You can't make a person do something. Every law that's on the book, every time you put law on there, somebody wants to break it because the inside of them know that the law is right, but they just want to be rebellious. And the key to this is, like Jesus said, love. And you can't legislate that. That's something of the heart. You can't make a law to put in effect that will tell somebody to love you, love their neighbor as their self. The emphasis on is loving your neighbor, and the comparison is loving yourself. But then they'll tell you in society, you don't love yourself enough. The problem is you love yourself too much. You love yourself so much that you think you do anything you want to do at any given time because you're told fake it till you make it, do what you want to do. As long as what? Whoever's in influence at the time doesn't say it's not okay. It's not okay. Who gets to make that decision? The ebb and flow of society. When we need to have a standard of truth of don't put your hands on people unless you feel threatened or unless uh or somebody put their hands on you. There's this thing called, and some of y'all are old, young enough and old enough to understand. It's called playing the dozens. Who knows about that? Comment on that. Do you know about playing the dozens? And I grew up in a place whereas it's called a game. It's a game. Let's play the dozens. Your mama, my mama, and you just talk about people's mama. And normally the person who gets upset to the point they want to start fighting loses because they didn't get under their skin. Just like the N word, we can use it, but they can't. And if they use it, you get all upset. But when we use it, we mean as a term terms of endearment. Okay, and sometimes we use it in non-terms of endearment. But guess what? It don't affect us because those who are thinking that you had the power to define. You call me anything. That doesn't mean I'm what you say. If I was so bent out of shape by what you call me, that lets me know I might be what you say. I'm just hiding. You know what happened to play the fool? Don't be the fool. But no, you gotta hide. You got who are you really? Are you this great person that everybody think that you are? Are you this bad person that everybody think you are? I'm not judging either way, but just be who you are. And I guarantee you, whoever you are, really, when you start living in who you really are, and I'm gonna use this word, the truth of who you are, then you can walk in the light of what God has called you to be and do. And whatever changes, whatever enhances or detractions that need to happen, God will do this. But God can't work in falsehood. He said, worship me in spirit and in truth. His spirit, his truth, and your understanding of who you are. And that's for believers. But even for the secular world, it works better when the truth is exposed. And yes, if you've been living in darkness and living in hiding, and I'm a total example of that. Everybody should have been through this at some point in time where they have been exposed. And if you say you've never done nothing to be exposed and all that stuff, you a liar and the truth ain't in you. You hiding right now. To sit here and tell me you've been perfect all your life and you've been good and you've never done nothing wrong. You never lied. You never took a pencil from your job. You never took notebooks from your job. You never did nothing wrong in your entire life. You are a liar. Because if that's the case, then for those who God said we all fall short, That don't apply to you because you've been perfect. You still being self-deceived. You still deceiving yourself and believing that you're something that you're not. Trust me. I talk to several of them every day. But I love talking to them because I try to learn how deep is the deception. How far does that go into who they think they are? And then at some point, what's really interesting is that one, everybody knows that one who thinks there's something and think that they've hidden it from everybody, but everybody actually knows. That's really crazy. You keep portraying this, but everybody knows there's another part of the story that's really the truth. But you keep pitching it, you keep pitching it, you keep pitching it, and hopefully that if you pitch it long enough, they'll start believing it. But they already have peeped it, they already know it, they've accepted it. But you're too embarrassed to come out to say something that somebody already knows. They already know that you got issues, and you portray like you know. They already know that you're not tolerant. They already know that you're not loving. They already know that you're not patient. They already know that you bring war instead of peace. They already know that you blame everybody else for your mistakes except for yourself. And guess what? They still deal with you. And all they're hoping is one day you just totally see yourself as you really are and quit trying to pitch at them. That Christianese language people use that people are sick and tired of. When people start talking to me that way with all that Christian lingo, and that's how they talk to me, I already know they hiding, they cloaking, they covering. And matter of fact, be speaking of cloak and cover, please come join us on Clubhouse on Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Podcast Connect Network, where we're going to be discussing these issues with a particular person, pastor who now has written a letter in response. His name is Dwayne Dawkins. I'm sorry, and he's written a response to himself being caught with a male entertainer, stripper, whatever, male worker, sex worker. And again, it's not the homosexuality that's the issue. Okay, before somebody get on here, that ain't got nothing to do with the issue. The issue is he went. If you look up his sermons, some of his sermons, which he's tried to take down, he gave hard in the paint against homosexuality, hard in the paint, just like Eddie Long did. And then what was done in the dark is brought to the light. And now you end up apologizing. We're not talking about the homosexuality. We're talking about the fact that you've been lying. You've been painting a picture of yourself that's not true to the people who you have influence over. If it was just you and your wife and your kids and you didn't have any influence, nobody would care. But you had influence. You have affluence. And now you write this letter. And if you get a chance, go to the official Taish report and go to his community wall, because that's the only place I found the letter. Read his response. If you can't tell that's a bunch of crap, I mean something wrong with you. That's some old PR stuff somebody put together. Whereas now, everybody's insulated. My wife is a great person. My kids and da 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 blah 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 blah. And by the way, send me some money. What? Oh, I'm wrong. But see, you're not just coming out saying yes, I am bisexual, whatever you want to call it. I'm not trying to keep up with the letters. Whatever you want to call yourself, admit to that. We see the evidence of what you've done. And then the first thing you did when it came out, you tried to say it wasn't you. It's always the cover up and not the crime. See, the crime is the cover of what you was doing. You was being you. At that point, when you was doing that with that guy, that's who you are, and that's okay. And it's okay to be who you are. But when you're telling people you're not that at all, that's the problem. You ain't struggling. That didn't look like it's an ugly video. If it didn't look like you was struggling, this ain't your first rodeo. This ain't your first time. You've been doing this for a minute. Now the question is how long you've been doing it, how long you've been deceiving your wife. You got children. You did it with unprotection. You could have put everybody's life in danger. And that decision, like I say, every decision is a seed and it has ripple effect throughout society and it has eternal effects that you may not even think about. And that's why I encourage people, Think about the decisions you make and the ripple effect, and not just in the moment that you make them, because that decision you make to satisfy your flesh may cause you to have issues. I'm a witness. Ramifications that you can never take back. Now, God will help you live through them, but you can't take it back. You can't undo it. We need to learn how to think more and not react out of our emotions, not live our life through our emotions. See, fake it till you make it is an emotional thing. Just do it on the athlete's level. Yeah, but you can't just apply that to everything. The Bible says that Paul said all things are lawful, but all things aren't expedient. I'm gonna tell you in a different way. All things I can do because I'm here and I can do what I want to do, but all things aren't profitable for beyond the moment I do them. What I do today that may satisfy me today may cause me so much harm that I wish I could undo it. Has anybody been there? I wish that I could undo it. I wish that I could not put up with that. What's going on, T? So yeah, we discuss these things over on our clubhouse. Please come over and join us. You don't have to be a podcaster. And then also Monday morning conversations with myself and T Drake. Walker Truth Radio Network. Just search it. It's Facebook, YouTube, all of that. Walker Truth Radio Network podcast. We are everywhere. And same thing with God's gift through his word. We're everywhere. All you have to do is search us out. Listen to on your favorite platform of choice. But you need to be who you are. And let's go ahead and settle this. Nobody's perfect. Before some immature person gets on here and be telling me, oh, nobody's perfect. And I don't want to hear all that. Yeah, nobody's perfect. Okay. But we're all being perfected. And I'm talking about sinless perfection. I'm talking about mature. The Bible talks about perfection. It talks about, in some areas, it talks about mature. Most of the time, it's talking about growing up. When I was a child, I did childish things, but when I became a man, I think about it. It didn't say I kept them. I put those things away. So there's a time and a season for you to mature. And what happens in America, we've gone backwards because we're running ourselves and our lives on our immature ways. Need more stuff, need more this, need more that, more bling, more shine, more this, more that. We want people to look at us, look at us, look at us, and we want people to tell us how great we are. And who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to be liked? Who doesn't want to be esteemed highly? I get it. But all I'm saying is that while you're searching to be esteemed highly, while you want to be a global ministry, while you want to take over the world, and all these other statements that are put out here about what you want to do, are you being real with yourself? I'm gonna give you a quick story, and then we're gonna wrap this up. There was a young man that I knew back in the day. I think at the time he was maybe 11 to 12. And I asked him what he wanted to be. And out of his mouth, he said loud and proud, I want to be a football player. And I said, oh, okay. And I'm looking at him pondering like, but I never see you with a football. And you don't play football. You don't really play any sport. How is it that you want to be a football player? You never came to me or anybody that you know, your mom, your dad, anybody, your uncles, and say, enroll me in football. So I asked him, what makes you think that you could be a football player? He says, well, they make a lot of money. Okay. Baseball players make a lot of money. Basketball players make a lot of money. Why football? I just think I could be a football player. Then I said, don't you think you need to start playing at some point? He said, I'll wait till I go to the pros. That sounds crazy, don't it? And that person in their reality at that time, and really now they're grown, they lived that life in that altered state of reality of not recognizing where they are. Some things that we could be in life has timestamps, And you can want to be that all you want, but if you haven't prepared for that, you haven't sacrificed for that, you haven't trained for that, you haven't disciplined yourself in that endeavor, you can't be that. And again, this fakeness that goes on in society, you keep telling a person they can do anything they want to do. Yeah, at some level, yes, but on a lot of levels, no, because you didn't prepare yourself for that. You got 20. When I had my company, I had this young lady working for me, and I had some business to do. Whereas I told the person that I was writing a check to, take the checkbook out there, them big long checkbooks, on a big, in a binder. Go check it out there. Have her write out the check, and I'll sign it. So the guy is like, I closed my office door, was talking to the brother who was in there, and we were sitting there. We 5-10 minutes later, the other brother hadn't came back yet with the check, and we look out there, and he's standing there, and he's like, he came back in. He said, she don't know how to write out a check. Now she's 22, 23, 24 years old, but she looked good. She smelled good. She's sitting at the front desk. She answering the phone, but she don't even know how to write out a check. And she was gonna try to fake it, and she messed up 6 checks before she just told him, I don't know how to write out a check. She felt it was okay to do that because she thought there was no ramifications for her doing that other than, oh well, you caught me. I don't know how to do some things that I said I knew how to do when I got the job. Then I found out she didn't know nothing about computers. That some of the other people in the office was helping her all the time with computers. She lied on her whole interview and that she was not who she said she was, and I had to fire her. She wasted 6 checks trying to fake it. And this young man, I don't know what he's doing today, but I know that he never became a football player. At some point, we have to teach our children and ourselves to be real with ourselves and be content, you know, to live our life under the saying, no reserve, no retreat, no regrets. We have to be who we are. We have to influence who we're going to influence. The Bible tells us that God, your gift will make room for you. And I know that to be true. And whoever God puts in front of you, that's where you start. When you master the small things, God will make you master over many things. But you got to be willing to start with the small things. It's out of the small things the tree grows. It's out of the seed the flowers come. And the one seed can produce many flowers. Out of the one seed, apple seed can produce a tree that can produce tons and tons of apples year round. But it started with a seed. And the seed is, be truthful to who you really are. So that can be nourished. That can be grown. Whatever needs to be honed off and on. But when you create a whole persona, that's not you. That means God got to work with breaking that off of you first. You have to be broke down before you built back up. Now it's interesting to see how society and Will and Jada and Chris and all the people are going to continue to respond about this. And I want to see how society uses that template when you hear somebody does the same thing and they bring up the incident at the Oscars and say, if he got away with it, why can't I? They said something about me, I can go up and smack them. They talked about my wife, I can go smack them. They talked about my mom, I have to show them that. And then what about the wives are sitting there going, you see, Will Smith got it when somebody insulted me. Will Smith got up there and smacked that dude. Now you encouraging your guy to go do the same. When I look at you cross-eyed when that guy was talking about, now you could have been the one who started it, but you want the response to be like Will Smith. You see how dangerous that is? That's why you got to be comfortable in your own skin. You got to be comfortable with people talking about you. You got to be comfortable with people slandering you, because that's what people do. People are haters. And one of the best ways to 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 understand that you have value and that you are special and that you are awesome is the amount of haters that you have. Noel Jones said that. He said, I'm paraphrasing, he said, you can measure a person's success by the amount of haters that they have. And if you don't have no haters, you don't have anybody, you don't have much to go with. They hated Jesus, they hated Martin Luther King, they hated Malcolm X. I mean, just go on and on and on. They hate Kennedy. You really done nothing wrong to them, but they hate you for because of your philosophy of you being who you God has called you to be. And when you find out who God has called you to be and you start walking in that light of who God has called you to be, that's when you that's when no weapon formed against you shall prosper, because it's not about your physical, it's about your philosophy and what you're putting out there that has eternal effects. You can kill Martin Luther King, but you can't kill his idea. Gandhi died, but his ideas are still going on. Even Karl Marx. If you really think about historically speaking, Karl Marx has the largest influence over this world than anybody, because his philosophy is still being used by the whole entire world at some point, even in the United States. Oh, you thought Marxism wasn't in the United States? Pay attention. And remember, these politicians have figured out that being a congressman or a senator at the federal level is a way to get a come up. Nobody comes out of the Congress or Senate after they spend at least 4 years and they're poor, because they have influence and they have connections and they can give access. Yeah, when somebody get on YouTube and say I'm not on here for clicks and views, okay, that's a lie. Why are we doing this? Why am I doing this? Because think I have something to say. And I'm just not saying it to myself because I can sit here and talk to myself. I want to say it to everybody else and see what you got to say. So yeah, I want you to share it. Yeah, I want you to talk about it. Yeah, I want you to critique it. But I'm not going to be bent out of shape if you don't like it. I want you. If you don't like it and you think I'm talking a whole bunch of craziness, say that. Again, trust me, I'm not going to be bent out of shape, and I'm not going to spend no time warring with you back and forth. And if you think you got something else to say that's better, you get out here and do it. It's easy to sit behind a keyboard and type negative things, but or let's dialogue about it. Be willing to come on the show and let's talk about it. Stand 10 toes down in what you believe. There's no reason to hide. Nobody gonna do nothing. I ain't gonna do nothing to you. Trust me. I want to talk to you. I want to have the classic argument. It could be heated, but it won't be visceral. See, we got to get back to the point where we understand classical definitions of things. Argumentative is good. Debating is good. Opposing ideas are good. But now we don't want everybody to get along. Everybody think the same way. Isn't that Marxism in its code? Like everybody goes the same way. We're like pods. We're like part. Everybody has to agree the same. Everybody has to think the same. Everybody has to be the same. That's not the world I live in. That's not the world I'm going to accept. Resistance is futile. Well, that's what you say. I can understand everything that you are, but give me the room not to affirm it or agree with it. And I'll give you the room to affirm, not to affirm or agree with me. But at least let's understand. Let's try to understand where we're coming from. And maybe somewhere we can find something we can agree on. But this thing of everybody scared to say anything and politically correct and we ain't saying nothing, we've watered down conversations so much that texting capital letters is offensive. And you ever thought it might be a sight thing? That the person that's texting the capital letters may be someone who has sight problems and they can see the capital letters better. Oh no, I'm only thinking about myself. The Bible tells us in Philippians, consider others more significant than yourselves. If you ever did that, that goes into love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor, love your neighbor. That's the commandment. Love your neighbor. The Bible says no one hates his own body. Be who you are, really. And I am willing to bet the farm that somebody will accept you and love you and honor you and affirm you in who you really are. Hey, this is Pastor Jay, Walking Truth Radio Network. You know, please check out our Clubhouse, Tanika Drake, Podcast Connect Network. I'm sorry. On Saturdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't have to be a podcaster. We're over there discussing issues. This week, we're going to be discussing Dwayne Dawkins and his whole situation. And again, you can Google it. You can look it up on YouTube, and there's many different commentators on it, what he had done. And then in specific, there was a letter that he wrote in response that's on the official Thais report, and go to his community wall, and he has the letter that he responded back with, and that's what we will be discussing. And normally, what we discuss on Monday morning conversations, which me and Tanika did about this subject, we talk about on the Clubhouse. So Monday morning conversation will be different. It may be a continuation, but we normally talk about it on the Clubhouse. So you get a chance to come in and talk to us about it. And like I said, if you want to be on the show, just email me at sutton968@gmail.com, and I will give you a way to become part of the show on Monday morning conversation. If you want to chime in, have an alternative view, it is welcome. I like dialoguing. I like the classical argument. And, you know, Ravi Zacharias said this, when he wants to get saved people thinking and thinking people saved, even though he failed from his position. That philosophy is a great philosophy to have. Save people, we want to get you thinking again and not living in this ether world. And then we want to get unsaved people thinking about salvation in a way that's true and holy and not mystical, and show them that you can come to God as you are. And you haven't done enough not to not to warrant the grace of God and what he's done for you, and you can't be good enough to earn it. So whomsoever will, let them come. Again, this is Pastor Jay, Walk of Truth Radio Network. I always want you to be encouraged, blessing, and peace. And please like, subscribe, and share on your favorite platform of choice. You know, I'm starting to build my YouTube channel. Please go over there and subscribe and comment. And like I say, let the chips fall where they may. I respect your right to not think as I think. That's being woke, for real. You don't have to think how I think. It's okay. Y'all have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the other side. Peace.